My colleague framed me and stole my girlfriend. Here's how I ruined his life and got my epic revenge. This is a long one, but I need to get it off my chest. Throwaway account, because some people might recognize the details. Here we go. It all started a year ago, when I to 7M was working at this small tech startup. We were a tight-knit team, and I genuinely enjoyed my job. I was particularly close to my colleague, Julian 30M. Julian was the type of guy everyone liked, charming, funny, tall, and good at his job. We became friends quickly, and I thought we had each other's backs. Julian and I did everything together. We'd grab coffee in the mornings, exchange ideas about projects, and even spent weekends working on side projects. Our bond grew stronger after we started hitting the gym together and sharing personal stories. Julian was the first to know about my girlfriend, Sarah 26F, and I was there when he needed advice about his family issues. We even went on double dates and took weekend trips. He was like a brother to me, and I trusted him implicitly. We talked about our dreams and ambitions, and I genuinely believed we were a team. We had countless late nights in the office, working on code and brainstorming ideas for the startup. Julian was the person I turned to when things got tough, and he seemed to genuinely care about my well-being. Fast forward to 6 months ago. Our company was going through a rough patch. We had a major project deadline, and the pressure was intense. I was leading the project, and Julian was my right-hand man. Everything seemed fine until one day, I got called into the CEO's office. The CEO looked furious and demanded to know why I had sabotaged the project. I was dumbfounded. Apparently, someone had tampered with the code, causing a major setback. All evidence pointed to me. My login credentials were used, and the tampered files were found on my workstation. Despite my protests of innocence, I was fired on the spot. Julian was there when I was escorted out, looking sympathetic but saying nothing in my defense. As I was packing my things, he came up to me, a sneer spreading across his face. "Tough break, man," he said, barely able to contain his glee. "Guess some people just can't handle the pressure." His eyes gleamed with satisfaction, and he leaned in closer, lowering his voice. "Maybe you should have been more careful with your passwords." The smug look on his face made my blood boil. That night, I was drinking away my sorrows when I got a call from a former colleague. He told me Julian had been promoted to lead the project in my absence. Something clicked in my mind. Julian had set me up. I spiraled into a deep depression. My reputation in the industry was shattered, and I couldn't find another job. My social life dwindled to nothing as I isolated myself, feeling the weight of betrayal and injustice. Then, I found out from a mutual friend that Julian had been jealous of Sarah. He'd always admired her, and with me out of the way, he swooped in. I was heartbroken when I saw them together. They were out at a restaurant, laughing and looking intimately close. Julian had his arm around Sarah's waist, and she was leaning into him, looking happier than I'd seen her in a long time. When Julian spotted me, he didn't just ignore me. He looked straight into my eyes, his lips curling into that familiar sneer. "Hey there," he called out mockingly. "Guess some people just move on faster." It felt like a punch to the gut, seeing the person who betrayed me with the woman I loved. Sarah later admitted she thought Julian had been supportive during my downfall. I fell into an even deeper pit of depression. I started drinking heavily, using alcohol to numb the overwhelming feelings of anger and sadness. Days blurred into nights as I sat in my parents' basement, staring at the ceiling, replaying the betrayal over and over in my mind. I was consumed by a mix of rage and sorrow, and I didn't see a way out. I don't know if it was the anger or the desire for justice, but I decided to fight back. One night, after too many drinks, I hit rock bottom. I realized I couldn't live like this anymore. I needed to channel my pain into something productive. I spent weeks gathering my thoughts and planning my revenge. I knew I needed to be smart, meticulous, and patient. First, I created an anonymous email account and started reaching out to my former colleagues, posing as a journalist investigating corruption in the tech industry. I collected snippets of information about Julian, his work habits, his weaknesses, and his secrets. It took months, but I built a detailed profile of him. One night, while combing through Julian's social media, I stumbled upon a picture of him with an expensive car, one I knew he couldn't afford on his salary. Sarah was in the picture too, her arms wrapped around him, both of them beaming like they didn't have a care in the world. It was a lead. I began to dig deeper into his finances. I learned to code more effectively and picked up skills in cybersecurity. It wasn't long before I had access to Julian's personal emails, social media accounts, and even his online banking. I found out he had a gambling problem and was in significant debt. Armed with this knowledge, I set the wheels in motion. I leaked information about his gambling problem to the HR department at our old company, anonymously of course. At the same time, I started sending incriminating emails from his account to the CEO, making it look like he was trying to sell company secrets to competitors. But it wasn't enough. Julian was fired within a week, but I wanted him to feel the same hopelessness I had felt. I posted all the dirt I had on him on various social media platforms, ensuring everyone in his professional circle saw it. His life fell apart quickly. He lost his job, and Sarah left him when she realized he had been cheating on her. Still, I wasn't satisfied. I wanted to see the look on his face, so I arranged a chance meeting. I knew he frequented a particular bar, so I went there, waiting for him. When he finally walked in, he looked like a shell of the man he used to be. I approached him, pretending it was a coincidence. We talked, and I could see the fear and confusion in his eyes. He had no idea I was behind his downfall. Julian confided in me, telling me how his life had unraveled. He even expressed regret for what he did to me, though he never explicitly admitted it. In the weeks that followed, I continued to watch Julian's life spiral further. He lost his apartment and moved in with his parents. He was unrecognizable from the confident, charismatic guy the first once knew. I had destroyed him completely. As time passed, the truth about what had happened at the startup began to surface. My anonymous leaks and Julian downfall had sparked an internal investigation. The company eventually discovered evidence that exonerated me. It was clear that I had been framed. My former CEO reached out, offering a public apology and a job offer to come back. News of my exoneration spread, and my reputation in the industry began to recover. I received job offers from multiple companies, each eager to have me on their team. My name was cleared, and my career was back on track. TLDR, my colleague framed me, leading to my job loss and personal downfall. He also stole my girlfriend. I fell into extreme depression and alcohol abuse, but meticulously plotted and executed my revenge, destroying his life completely, and eventually cleared my name and got my career back on track.